Good morning, I'm Cherry Lane Darkin, and I am with the Hilsboro FCE Club, and the Hilsboro is the old name for the area that's now called Leapers Fork. We have had a home demonstration club, homemaker club, FCE club continuously for 105 years. It was begun in 1919. The first president of the Hillsboro Club was Mrs. Will Fulton. The club met once a month for 6 months. They had a Christmas social and a summer social. The dues were $10 a month, and the ladies did canning, quilts, and crafts. In 1940, they helped to furnish the first home economics lab at Hillsboro High School, which was in the Hillsboro community. During World War II, they made cotton mattresses and brown domestic hospital gowns. Can you imagine that? Now, in 1964, Betty Hughes joined this club. She has been a continuous member of FCE for 60 years and has been active for all of those 60 years. So we're going to hear her story now. Our next guest is Betty Hughes. I don't believe she was there back during the first of the club, but she did join the club in 1964, and Betty has been an active, continual member for 60 years, and she is the oldest tenured FCE member in Williamson County, and we are so proud of her. So she's going to tell you a little of her story now.
Well, I the reason I got into the club was because my sister had been in the club, and I had worked at an office job, and they decided that after we had children, my husband and I decided that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So it was exciting to be able to reach out and do something different. So I went to the first meeting in December, and of course that was a great time to go because it had great foods, and it was just a great atmosphere. So then I decided that next month, which was when our year started, I paid my membership dues in January of 1964. And my daughter she was born on Halloween, so October 31st. So I could take my baby to club and learn and have a real social life. And it was just such a loving atmosphere that I just wanted to be a part of it. And we had probably between 32 and 35 members. And most of our meetings were held in the homes because we really didn't have a building available in the area. And so many of the women of that age, that time period, did not drive. So some of the people who did drive came to take the others, pick them up to take them to the club. So that was my introduction into the club.
Well, that sounds great. And so what did you learn?
Oh my goodness, I could talk all day about what I've learned. And I think that a lot of people don't realize how rural Williamson County was in the 60s. And unless you lived in town and you were close enough that you could walk to the library and that sort of place, you didn't have a lot of information given to you. So with the Home Demonstration Club had outlets through the University of Tennessee Extension that things were available to us, and our agent shared so many things. And I think that I had always sewn, and I made most all of my clothes and my children's clothes because I was a stay-at-home mom, didn't have a lot of money, so that was one way I could save. We had leaders that were assigned each year at our meetings, and some of those the leaders were in charge of presenting a program each month. And one of them was on home management, and that can include a lot of things. And we were fortunate enough that we had people that would come and that really knew the ropes. We had attorneys that came to speak to us. We had investment people, bankers. We had nurses. We had the people from the health department. We even had them come from the funeral home to enlighten us on our plans. The list could just go on and on and on.
So it was really a way to learn.
It was a way to learn. And then, of course, we had programs on horticulture because most of us had gardens and we wanted to raise our vegetables, and we love flowers, so we did that. I think one of the most enlightening things that has helped me throughout the whole time has been when I guess the government decided that we needed more information about what we were getting when we were buying at the grocery, and that was the food nutrition label. And that has been so meaningful to me over the years because I watch my sodium. And of course, I like to watch my fat grams and the carbohydrates, and that is so important. And I find that even today, most people do not still realize how to read those labels, because that doesn't mean when it says you have to read according to how many servings is in that particular thing. So if you don't know how to read it, then you're miscued there. So I think that has been one of the tools that I have used the most, has been that food nutrition label. And then, of course, as time progressed, I think the first microwave that I had heard of came into Franklin, was in probably 1960, because my boss, that when I worked for the insurance agency, he came in, he was all excited because he had been invited to his friend's house because they had this new gadget. And when he was talking about baking a potato in 3 to 4 minutes, that just perked up our ears. So it was a while before, the rural people could afford microwaves. So learning, and then of course from then, the world has just been opened up to so many new gadgets in our kitchens, and our agent was always informed and kept us informed as to how to use it. So it's just amazing at the things that has been available.
Well, now what is that you've got on your table up there? Are those things you learned about, or maybe made?
Yes,
or
I made the egg basket. We had years ago when we would have work days, and all of the, I think it was 32 clubs in our county, 35 clubs. And so we would, not everybody was interested in making an egg basket, so we would assign a work day, and that all the people who were interested that were in one of the clubs, we would meet. And at that time, our extension office was in the basement of the old courthouse down on the square on 3rd Avenue. And so it took me 2 days to make that, and it was hard on the hands, but it was kind of exciting to do that. My sister made the tray, and it's an acid. I really didn't understand, because she made that before I got in the club.
I think all home demonstration clubs made that, because I have an etched aluminum tray that my grandmother made in Alabama in home demonstration clubs. So yes, I think that was a real item, and they had used them for trays.
Yes. I think, and then of course, decoupage came on big, and my sister made these two for my daughter. And hours and hours of work went into that. I was real proud of we drew names at the January meeting, and we would have secret pals. And so we would give birthday presents and Christmas presents. And Miss Norma Holman had my name one Christmas, and she gave me, or one year, and she made this bag for me, which I just treasure it. But probably the best thing that that was the most meaningful for me, and I didn't, of course, didn't bring it, was I was given my grandmother's gold leaf frame, and it's probably 11 by 14, so it's quite large. And it had a little damage on it, and so we had another work date as we did in the egg basket, and a company out of Nashville came and taught us how to restore the broken pieces, and then we used sheets of gold leaf, and I mean they were very delicate, and that still hangs in my house today, and I am so thankful because my grandmother died when I was 10, so I was so proud to do that because I couldn't imagine. It was a real neat way of doing things, so that's probably my most treasured thing is my gold leaf.
What an interesting
Yes,
story.
Yes.
Now, what's the book up there? I see you have a book.
Oh, this is Rick Warwick's book. It has the communities surrounding Leapers Fort, and there is a picture of our club on one of our club adventures. Now, we were an adventurous group of ladies. We often we would take day trips, and we would leave Franklin as early as 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we may not get back home till 9 o'clock at night. But there was a Franklin and Urban bus in Franklin, and we had a driver, Benjamin Pewitt, who most of us knew, and he was our driver and would take us. We went as far as Memphis to Elvis Presley's home in the Pink Palace, and then we went to the Dogwood Festival in Knoxville, and then we went to Bardstown in Kentucky. It was just such a neat time. We didn't have enough in our club to fill the bus, so we would open it up to people in the community, and they would, probably pay $20 to be able to ride the bus. And one of the funniest things that probably ever happened was when we took a trip to Chattanooga to Lookout Mountains. And Mr. Benjamin was our driver, and we got to this bridge, and he said, the weight is so-and-so. He said, I'm afraid that we might not better cross this bridge. Why don't you all get off and walk across the bridge? Well, you can imagine about 45 to 48 women got out and walked across the bridge, and then he drove across. We had one lady, Miss Lavinia Redford, she said, well, I'm not walking. If it goes down, I'll go with it. Oh. So I think that was probably one of the funniest things that we ever did was we had to walk across that bridge because he wasn't sure that the bridge would...
And you didn't forget that, did you?
No, I did not forget it because we laughed about it so much. Another memorable moment that I had was, and I should have brought it, was the Williamson County was assigned to have a booth at the State Fair in Nashville. And this particular year, the theme was Christmas decorations. So Miss Lois Crowley was our agent, and I just love Miss Crowley. She was such a sweet lady. And she knew that I had knitted lots of red bells that I would put on my Christmas tree. So she asked me if she could borrow them to put them on the tree in Nashville. So I was more than happy to do that, felt honored that she felt like they were nice enough to go on the tree. But in return, she crocheted me about a dozen of white snowflakes. And I want to tell you, they adorn my tree every year. I don't have a very big tree anymore, but my bells and my my snowflakes are one of my fun things that I enjoy seeing every year.
I believe Miss Crowley was an agent for 30 years, if I'm right on
Yes.
that, from 1947 to 1977. So she touched a lot of lives, didn't she?
She was very devoted. We always had one of the difference in our clubs then and then now was that we had at least one leadership program every month. And most of the time, if the agent gave one, then one of the leaders in our club gave another one in the afternoon. We were never in any hurry to leave the club. Reba Schmidt and her mom, Miss Willie Mae Church, were both 50-year club members. And Reba loved the club. She lived and breathed the club. And she always had her bingo bag with her. So we would play bingo after everything was dismissed. And she'd have her little bags of maybe white elephant gifts, and we would choose them. So it was just, it was just an outing for so many of us, and it was fun. And of course, I'll never forget all of the great potluck lunches we have, and all the new foods that are introduced to us that we might not ever try ourselves, but whenever you see something that's different, why not try it? And you never know till you do try it.
Well, I think that's one thing FCE has brought is the sharing of ideas, the sharing of new foods or new places to go or new appliances or something that when you learn from somebody about it, it's better than reading about it in a book.
Absolutely.
Or seeing it on television.
Yeah, and of course in an earlier time, we had tips on, Miss Crowley was good about doing our sewing things, because there was so many things that I took home ec for 4 years and I loved it. And my first year in high school as in home ec was my former 4-H leader, and so we just hit it off perfectly. But you can't learn that much in home economics. So I remember being excited about making bound buttonholes and the proper way to put in zippers, and I learned that through the FCE. So, and then I think probably one of the nicest compliments that I ever got was I made a suit, a pantsuit for myself, and it was a 3-piece. It had a vest and a jacket and, of course, the pants. And I was very involved with Franklin PTA, and I was at one of the meetings, and I had my suit on, and the principal of the school walked up to me, and she said, "Oh, Betty, do you have on an Act 3 outfit?" And I said, "No, ma'am." I said, "This is an Act Betty." And she said, "I don't like people like you."
Well,
but I really, it was a poly wool, and it just made up so pretty. And I was so proud of myself that she recognized that it was a nice piece of, a nice outfit. So,
well, quality is important, and you learned a lot about that.
Exactly.
From the extension people.
Well, you just, it's just like cooking or anything else. You've got steps to follow. And if you try to get ahead of yourself, then you're going to mess up.
Well, that is just great. Well, you've certainly done a lot in your 60 years in FCE, and I hope you're shooting for 100 years in FCE before it's all over. But what about it kept you going back all those years?
Well, it would have to be the friendships. Literally in 60 years, I've probably met hundreds of ladies. So many of them have passed on, or some was here just temporarily and moved on. And but I have formed some of the sweetest relationships with those people, and you just learn so much in sharing and ideas and kind words and caring people, and especially when you've gone through sickness and deaths, and those people are there, they're there, you know, whether it's be with food or whether it's in thoughts and prayers. It's just the most rewarding thing. And I always said that I would never get into an organization unless I could be active. And I joined one other organization at one time, and I did not enjoy it. And I told my friend that had invited me, I said, this is not for me, so I'm out. So I think that if you make a decision to join something, then you should give it your all, and that's what I have tried to do.
Well, you've been a great member and a great example for all of us those 60 years, and we thank you for that.
Well, I have definitely enjoyed it.